Tonight on The Woody Show, we will be talking about Emily Dickinson's poem, I Felt a Funeral in My Brain.
I felt a funeral in my brain depicts the speaker's descent to a state of madness. Dickinson utilizes the imagery of a funeral procession to highlight that the speaker's reason is being overwhelmed by the irrational nature of the subconscious. Dying, in effect. We are aware that Dickinson wasn't always of sound mind throughout her life. There are also many religious connotations used in the poem. For example, as all the heavens were a bell, she writes.
Tonight on The Woody Show, we will be having 3 special guests, Zara, Janina and Rachel, who will be talking to our presenter, Faustino, about Emily Dickinson's poem, I Felt a Funeral in My Brain.
Now we have Lily here with us to talk about the imagery and language of the first stanza.
The language of the poem in the first stanza is very symbolic. For example, she describes funeral in her brain. The word funeral suggests that a part of her has died. The capitalization of the word funeral shows importance. Connotations of the word funeral and plan are planned, ordered and peaceful, which contrasts with the chaotic nature.
Zara, one of our experts, to speak about the turning point in the poem and the last stanza.
The turning point in the poem is the last stanza because Dickinson uses the line and then a plank in reason broke. We think that's the turning point because the plank can represent her sanity and the fact that it broke is when she's finally falling and she's finally made the change and transition from sane to insane. We also think that the line I drop down and down is the actual moment where she falls and she becomes insane. It's the turning point because throughout the whole poem she discusses how her mind is playing games with her and how there's a funeral in her mind and her partner is slowly dying. At this point we can assume that she's finally fallen and that she is no longer part of our world. The final line, then and then a dash, leaves it ambiguous because of her slowly dying. At this point, we can assume that she's finally fallen and that she is no longer part of our world. The final line, then and then a dash, leaves it ambiguous because we don't know how long she'll fall for or when she's going to get to wherever she needs to get. Also, we don't know that her journey has actually ended yet. The horror of the madness awaits her and the ordeal is not over yet. There's no rhyme in this stanza. There's no rhyme in this stanza between down and then, which suggests that the order and the continuity of the poem has been disrupted. This is why we think it's a turning point.
Thank you. Now we have Janina here to talk about the structure of the poem.
Although the speaker's thoughts in the poem seem to lack control, there's an ironic contrast with the regular ballad form and the regular rhyme scheme. The poem starts off with a half rhyme, using the words from and through. In the last stanza, there is no rhyme. This suggests the speaker's change of thought, which links it to the turning point of the poem.
Thank you, Janina. So in conclusion, the main things you should take away from this poem are the following. Firstly, the contrast between the idea of an orderly funeral and the chaotic nature of the speaker's mind. Secondly, the contextual knowledge about Dickinson's own problems with mental health. And lastly, how the poem ties into the theme of romanticism. Thank you.
The Woody Show would like to say a massive thank you to the director Lily, to our presenter Faustino, to our 3 special guests, Zara, Janina and Rachel. Lastly, we would like to show our appreciation to the camera woman and editor, Iduni.